Hey everyone, welcome to Sir Inc.'s The Experience podcast, where we talk about anything and everything kink. We only cater to adults 18 and above. So remember, this podcast is not safe for work, or as we like to say, NSF.
Remember, you can always listen to us during your private time. Hello, kinky and kinkiers folk out there. My name is Sir Inc. And on this podcast, it's going to be a little podcast gumbo. And I have my favorite friend here, the curious girl, who has some thoughts on some of the podcasts and topics that I've recently posted. And I'm going to answer any questions she may have. So let's get into it. Hello, darling.
Hey, sweetheart.
How are you?
I am just like chomping at the bit. I'm raring to go.
Okay, let's get it. Okay, so what did you hear and what did you have questions about?
No, I just heard this commentary that you did recently about, the way you're breaking it down, like men just have their proclivities and women kind of need to understand that. And it was like, it seemed very like you were drawing a line in the sand. And I think that I agree with, a lot of this, there's a lot of this manosphere bullshit, and some of it I'm down with.
Mm-hmm.
But parts of it, I just have to kind of go, okay, when things start to swing too far one way, I always have to, I like to find the common ground. I like to find like where people meet instead of these like, hey, this is how it is, so ladies, listen up.
Right.
Uh, I don't find that useful, I guess, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm more prone to tell me where you are, I'll tell you where I'm at, and let's talk about how we meet in the middle.
Right. Okay.
And so when I hear, when I hear these again, and I'll start picking on you in a second, but what what I heard, what I'm used to hearing like from this manosphere stuff is,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of they're sort of tired of certain things. They've had enough of
Right.
some bullshit, right?
Okay.
And they're reacting to it, and they're drawing a hard line in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know. What does that get you at the end of the day? I understand I understand the sentiment. Trust me, I do.
Right.
I
Okay.
just I just I just don't know where that gets you overall as far as what a man wants and what a woman wants, and then how do we come together and
Right.
make a few compromises, because nobody's going to get 100% of what they want and make it work.
Right. Okay.
That's where I'm coming from. So when I listened to your thing the other day, I was a little surprised. I was like, he's kind of hard. He's like redlining it, and I'm going,
Ooh, yeah.
what fired me up?
So let me go ahead. Number one, I'm not in the manosphere. I'm not in the manosphere. And my conversation is part conversations that we've had before, where I was explaining to another young lady on her podcast about if you have 10 men, 3 men can be totally faithful. They can have one woman be completely monogamous. The other 7 men want to have sex with multiple women. Whether they're having sex with multiple women or not, that's not the point. But the other 7
Yeah.
would like to have sex with multiple partners. Okay. But statistics show that less than 40% of all men are having sex. So even out of that 7, that doesn't mean that 7 is actually having sex. So you have a small group of men that are having sex with multiple women. And my point is if you're one of those 7, I just think you should be honest with what your appetite is and where a woman where you see a woman in your life, and making it clear to her how you rolling. I don't think I'm not with cheating. So I'm all about just letting people know where you come from, so everybody can make an informed decision for themselves.
Yeah.
If you're talking to a woman that doesn't that's not good with you, maybe having sex with another woman, then you can't hold on to her. And this is where guys go wrong. They meet a woman, they like, she ain't gonna go for that. So they lie to her and say, I'll never cheat on you. It's only you. And they banging the chick next door. I just don't think that's fair. I think that's not manly like. I think men should be able to stand on how they feel and do what they want to do. If this, see, you have a lot of men that talk this, oh, there's so many women in the world. Here is 7-1, over there's 20-1 and all that. So if there's that many women to men, why as a man do I have to lock myself down to one woman and lie to her like I'm not gonna fuck someone else? Now that doesn't mean that this man is just hunting down women, all the time. But if some situation pops up and and some shit
Hmm.
happens, he should be able to talk about that.
Okay,
Maybe this woman.
because you made a lot of good points. So before I start losing track of them, can I comment
Okay,
a couple?
okay, good.
Okay. First of all, I pretty much have agreed with most of what you've just said, but I didn't
Okay,
take that wasn't my takeaway from what I saw on YouTube.
okay. That was
Okay,
a
that's
quick
number
one.
that's
Mhm.
number one. So I agree because I just agree that wherever you're at, you should just be honest about it.
Right.
Period.
Yes.
Now, this other thing that you're talking about, there's this belief that there's 7 women to every man, and so that like and men are going to want to cheat, and they should just be able to get. Uh, that's that can't be true because if it was, men would not be wanting to lie to women about their fidelity. They'd just be like, "Fuck it, there's another one behind you." Like that's
But,
not the truth.
but that's what I'm saying. Men are not raised to feel like that. In our society, men are not raised to tell the truth. Men are raised in a culture of being liars to women. You have to understand that. Like, and that's what I was saying I say to women in general. Like, I have a friend, and matter of fact, I did a podcast with her. She is on her way to getting her degree as a sex therapist. She comes from a family in Africa, right? So her
Hmm.
grandfather is married to 3 women and has like 20 something kids.
Yeah.
Now he has one household where him and the boys live, and the other 2 households where other households where his wives and the women and the girls live, right?
Hmm.
And so in other cultures they have no problem with polyamory, but this society frowns upon that. So what happens is men feel like they can't be who they want to be or have what they want to have, and I just think is crazy. And if you don't fit into this box of one woman to one man, then I just think you should be honest. And if and truly, women
Well,
outnumber men in the world, even if it's 2-1. So why do you have to lie? I just don't understand why men, like, we're raised in this culture. And I'm in the barbershop, so I see it,
yeah.
and on a daily basis, I'm telling dudes as of today. I'm telling the dude, yo, man, you gotta stop lying. You gotta stop dragging people down these roads when you know it's gonna be
Right.
a dead end. Because here's what happens. They damage these women,
Yeah.
right? And you don't have to do that just for the sake of wanting to fuck her. And that's selfish, right? So I'm holding men accountable first. And I'm saying if it's in your nature to want to have more than one woman, if that's truly what you want, then you should be honest with that. So part of this conversation too was, okay, so how does a woman find the 3 guys that won't? So I laid out the characteristics. Got to find a man that's driven. Find a man that wants to work and maybe work after work. Because these dudes have agendas that have nothing to do with fucking other women.
Yeah.
They're driven to other things in life. They have different objectives. And so they'll find one woman that they can build a life with and do everything with her outside of work and more work because it's simple for them. Like, dealing with more women is not simple, especially when you're a liar. Let's talk about that. Cheating is not a pleasurable event all the way through. So
Hmm.
I'm looking at a friend of mine went to a therapist, and he was talking about how he's got this side joint, and he has sex with her, everything's cool. He said, yeah, but he said you think it's pleasurable, right? He's like, yeah. He said, but one, you got to lie to get out the house. You got to lie your way back in the house, and then you got to hold on to all your lies. You got to keep all your lies straight. He's like, that in itself is holding on to stress. And
Yeah.
and this is the difference between how we're living in this society and how other societies and how other cultures are living, right? So in a culture where a man can have more than one woman, like polyamory, it's acceptable. But the responsibility is you can't have more than one woman if you can't afford to give the second woman as much as the first woman can have, right? And
Well,
so
well,
this
wait.
culture, go ahead.
Let me jump in because you're getting down the road. I just want to make sure I clarify a couple things. First of all, polygamy and polyamory. Polygamy is based on, I primarily religious beliefs, and so you're talking about, different cultures and things like that, and so they practice polygamy, and that's acceptable based on, the proliferation. I think the proliferation and this and just kind of
Mm-hmm.
keeping to their customs and their, primarily also their religion, but sometimes it's also just cultural too. You mentioned like different, different parts of the world. Yes, I mean this is how they're surviving.
Right.
So it serves a purpose, but the thing is there's no secrets. Everybody's on board.
That's what I'm saying.
Same
Right.
thing with polyam, but now let's roll that over to here where it's more chosen. It's not because of some sort of religious
Mm-hmm.
or just actual survival background
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
thing that's driving it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Based on your culture, and
Mm-hmm.
so fast forward to here we are in the United States where nobody's really like struggling with their like to keep their religion going or or keep their race going like. And so polyamory is more of a choice, but again, that is something too that where there's communication, it's on the table. Like these aren't surprises.
Right.
So I kind of want to make that. I just want to make that
Right.
determination because
Right. But
because
remember,
we can't compare men who are just fucking cheaters
right.
to that. That's different. And um, when regardless of what I just believe that what two people adults agree on and come to terms with as far as the dynamic of their relationship,
Mm-hmm.
that's fine. But when one person is trying to, when they know that they want something that the other doesn't, and they're going to try to force it to
Mm-hmm.
happen, whether it's with the permission of the other or omitting the other,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the problems happen,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so
Right.
I just when I listened to what you were saying, it was kind of like I don't know, like what stuck in my head was, hey, women, like ladies, just like suck it up, get real here. Men want to fuck other women,
Yes.
and you had said earlier, like 7 out of 10 guys does, and I'm not disagreeing with the numbers or anything that you're saying. All I'm saying is it should be consensual between two people involved. If a
Right.
man's single and he wants to go out and fuck as many women as he wants, that's
Mm-hmm.
great. But if he wants to lie and be
Right.
dishonest in doing that,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
where the problems arise. And I don't think women
Right. So
and
essentially,
if
you
you're on
agree
the
with.
receiving end
You
of
agree with
that,
it.
I don't think you should have to, if you're on the receiving end of it, I don't think you should just have to suck it up and be like, well, that's how men are. That's how that guy is. And
Right.
maybe that's how 7 out of 10 guys are. I don't know. I haven't really had a problem with it, and I've dated a lot. I find that just good old fashioned fucking communication about what everybody wants and
Mm-hmm.
expects is really the best way to go. And
Right.
I think the problem is not, it doesn't lie in the details about like who wants what. it really just the problem is with people cannot fucking communicate. I don't
So
know
you don't
why. I
so
don't
you
know
don't get it.
why.
You
I don't
don't disagree. So really, you don't disagree with me at all in none of this conversation.
I didn't get that from what you're I didn't not currently, not the way you're going currently, but what I heard previously, I was like, mm,
So what I'm saying is, all right, let me say this. So I think the reality is this: women need to accept that men do would like to have sex with multiple women, with them and maybe someone else, because men are very physical creatures, touchy feely, and we're stupid. Let me just flat out. Let me just say that. So I'm not saying that women have to accept that. They have to know that that's a reality. So even if a man
okay.
says, like, I'll never fuck another woman, that to me is a lie. I mean, you can't you for anyone to say that they won't fuck anyone else is sort of like hope is not a fact. You know what I'm
Hope
saying?
is not a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get that. No one really goes in thinking they're going to cheat on their significant other. I'm not saying that, right? But in this society, right, if a woman gets cheated on, it's not like a fucking surprise. Women aren't surprised if they got cheated on, right? It's not like if a man gets cheated on, that shit is like, wow, men are fucking crushed because the halo is put over the woman's head, not over the man's head. And a lot of what's discussed in open media is
Hmm.
men cheat. So like men cheating is almost an acceptable norm. I'm not
I
saying
know.
that I'm not saying that it's cool, none whatsoever. I'm not condoning it. But what I'm saying is, even if you say my guy won't cheat on me, if he did, it's like it's not like you didn't see that coming. It's not like you've not been cheated on before. It's not like you know what I'm saying? It's not like this is not a conversation that of things that men do in relationships.
I agree with what you're saying. I
Hmm.
really do.
Right.
Because I know I know the stuff about men and
Right.
I accept it. I don't
Hmm.
think a lot of women do, and I think that your point's very valid. But what I'm wondering is just so at what point do women need to be aware that like we're eh, why can't you take somebody at their word? Like at what point do we just have to be like, no, I can't
So,
I mean,
so this is this
isn't that a little bit
this goes back to my point. This goes back to my point.
counterintuitive, like when you
As,
couple up with somebody and
as men,
they're selling you on, hey, hey baby, we're gonna build this life together, it's you and me, da 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 da, and she wants to believe all that bullshit. Now I know better, but I'm just saying she wants to believe all that bullshit because that's the way she's wired. Like, why is she supposed to be smarter than that when she puts her trust and faith in this guy? And people, when you do that, when you give someone your trust and your faith,
mhm,
that person is the easiest. Don't pat yourself on the back for pulling one over on them, because that's the easiest mark you could have. They've already
right,
given you their faith.
right,
And so this is why I think it's for women, a lot of women, it's so devastating. Now, again, I'm a realist. I'm not in that camp, but I understand why
right,
this is so harsh to be on the
right.
receiving end of.
So let's go back. You're totally agreeing with everything I'm saying. If we just put it all together, again, this is why men are supposed to be leaders, right? And men are, and to me, like my brother would say, is like, yo, men are the new bitches. And that's what I mean. Men just need to step up and say who they are and be comfortable with being who they are
Yeah.
authentically. This way, someone doesn't get hurt down the line. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Like, so you said communication, right? So from the beginning, I believe that the man sets the tone in the relationship. So he needs to come in saying, like, look, like me, I'll say, I work and I work more, right? I'll never go out looking to fuck any woman. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But if Beyonce walks in my business and like, come on, let's go have sex. I mean, perfect place, perfect time. Anyone is vulnerable to do some dumb shit. That's basically is my point. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? Especially men, because men do not look at sex in an intimate way as women do.
Right.
Sex for men is sex. Sex is just I want to bust a nut and I want to fuck her because I ain't never touch her. And men are conquerors by nature. So we just want to do it just because we can do it. It doesn't make sense. Women don't, and I try to tell women, don't make sense of our shit because it don't make sense. Like y'all not
No,
wired.
I say
You're
don't
not
don't try to
wired.
make sense out of nonsense.
Please. I try to tell them, please. And I know this shit, it sounds ignorant. It sounds like very,
It does.
it sounds very careless. It sounds like you don't care. But this is how men think. Men can fuck a woman and
I
not give
know.
no shits about her. Like you care about who you care about. I care about my wife, right? If I'm married, I care about my wife. Everybody outside her, I don't give a fuck about them. I can fuck her. She get in a car accident the next day and die. I mean, okay. I mean, damn, I'm sorry to see her go, but she ain't my wife. Men can differentiate that way. Like we're wired that way.
Yeah.
A man that's cheating and has a relationship outside of his relationship is lacking something in his relationship. And that deals with communication. You need to communicate what's going on with you so that doesn't happen.
That was quite an experience, wasn't it? Tune in again for a fresh release of Sir Ink's The Experience podcast.